Salaam, the son of Salaam, and he was كان حبر من أحبار اليهود في المدينة, one of the rabbis of Jews in Medina. And we know that Arabia in general was not the place for Jews. Jews were normally around Palestine area. They were living there. It's a holy place, not only for them, for other followers of other religions. But when they came to know from the Torah that the last prophet, the prophet who will come at the end of the time, they had everything about him and all the news that they had in the Torah that he will appear in Arabia and specifically in Medina. That's why they migrated sometime, long time before the advent or the coming of the Prophet ﷺ, and they were there, residing there. So he was one of the leaders of Yahud living in Medina, Habruhum, and he divided his time into 3 parts. One part he is al-wa'd wal-ibadah, he stayed in the synagogue, worshipping and leading Jews and so on. The other portion of his time was for, he got a farm, and he was working in the palm trees, and the other for him. And the third part was for studying Judaism and advancing in this direction. And he was very much respected by everybody around him. He was known to be a good person, righteous person, fair person. He was known amongst his people and everybody to be such. And now Medina, as we know, came to know about the Prophet ﷺ before he even comes to Medina. Because the Nabi ﷺ sent Mus'ab ibn Umayr amongst others to pave the way for him. And subhanAllah, this is how Allah decided things to happen. Those ambassadors, on top of them was Mus'ab. They came to Al-Medina, they really, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala katab lahum al-najah, Allah made it easy for them and they were successful. So everybody knew that about the Prophet ﷺ, that he is coming and he will sometime soon will be coming to Al-Medina. Amongst them was the Yahud, who were Yahud, including Abdullah ibn Salaam, and he started collecting some information about the Prophet ﷺ even before he comes, before he came to Medina. And he was almost sure that he is the Prophet that he reads about him. Up until nowadays, Mecca is mentioned by the same name it's mentioned in the Quran, in the Bible, Mecca. It's in the Old Testament. Prophet ﷺ was mentioned by his name, Muhammad. But nowadays they started translating his name, the praised one, and other names. But up until nowadays, with the Bibles and Gospels that are still there, we have some clear references to talking about the Prophet ﷺ, and he will be in Arabia and his lineage and all of that. Probably by this time it was even clearer. So Jews, that's why they were waiting there. But he didn't want his people to know that he is almost of having faith in this man who is coming. Everybody was waiting for Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam made the hijrah, and he stayed for 3-4 days at the borders of Medina, Quba, before he comes to Al-Medina. When he came to Al-Medina, everybody was coming to him to check out on this new person and look at him and see who he is. Including Abdullah ibn Salaam, he got to know the news when he was on top of the climbing one of his palm trees. وكانت عمته تحت النخلة. When he came to know the news that the Prophet ﷺ is coming to Medina, kabbar, he said, Allahu Akbar. And she said, well, if you know that Musa ibn Imran is the one who is coming, our Prophet is the one who is coming, you wouldn't do ما زدت على ذلك. You wouldn't have done anything more than this. Like, how could you be so happy of that person? He said, Wallahi innahu la'akhu أو لأخي Musa ibn Imran. By Allah, this is the brother of Musa ibn Imran. He is calling for the same thing. And he is the Prophet that we read about that's coming at the end of the time. She said, yes, is this the one that we are waiting for? He said, yes, this is the one. He came down, he went to the Prophet ﷺ, he gave him a gift, and he asked him a few questions. I leave it to you because we don't want to take all the time. We want just to go quickly over his life. Go and check for yourself the question that he asked Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And he said, I'm going to ask you questions that only a prophet would know how to answer them. He asked the questions, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave him the answer, and on the spot he accepted Islam. And he said, as he was narrating this, I looked at his face and I knew this is not a face of a liar. This shouldn't be a face of a liar. When he asked him the question that he knew, because he was well-versed scholar of his religion, he knew that the answer for those questions could be known only by a prophet. So when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave him the answer, he believed in him. Shahida la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. He said, what's your name? He said, Al-Husayn ibn Salam. He said, but Abdullah ibn Salam. From this time on, your name is not going to be Al-Husayn ibn Salam, rather Abdullah ibn Salam. Al-Husayn or Abdullah, he loved it so much, and he was so happy with the new name that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave him, and he was so proud of it. Then after that he said, Ya Rasulullah, now Jews doesn't know or do not know nothing about my Islam, and I'm their leader and they respect me so much, and I know my people better than anybody else. They have problems, they are not actually fair. They know you are the Prophet and they read about you, but they wouldn't accept you. So you better invite them, and I will be behind a curtain or something. If they do not accept, tell them, maybe this is the last strategy that you could tell them, you could do with them. How do you think of Abdullah ibn Salam? And then tell them that I accepted Islam. Maybe it will work with them. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam invited Ashraf, al-Yahud, the leaders, the wujuhum, and he invited them to Islam, and he called them to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Islam. And they said, well, no, we are not going to believe in that, and they refused to accept. So he said, what do you think about Abdullah ibn Salam? What if he accepts Islam? قالوا حاشا لله. He said, first, what do you think of him? They said, سيدنا وابن سيدنا وخيرنا وابن خيرنا وعالمنا وابن عالمنا. They said, he is the leader and the son of our leader. He is our scholar and the son of our scholar. And he is the best of us and the son of the best of us. He said, what if he accepts Islam? They said, قالوا حاشا لله ما كان له أن يسلم. He said, no, how could he do something horrible like this? No, he wouldn't accept Islam. Then Abdullah ibn Salam came from behind the curtain and he said, Wallahi, you are my people and this is what you say about me, and I know and you know, every single person of you knows that he is the Prophet that we have been waiting for. We know him by sifa, by nasab, we know him by name, by his features and descriptions. We know him better than anybody else. Actually, the people of Medina, they were pagans, they didn't know nothing. They knew about the Prophet who would be coming from Jews. They knew about him, and when he came, they believed in him because Jews were telling them stuff, and we are superior, and we are waiting for this Prophet who will come and we will follow him. So it was actually the pagans of Medina and Ansar later on who accepted the Prophet, but Jews refused him. Anyway, when Abdullah ibn Salam came from behind the curtain and he said, well, he is the man that you know, he is the Prophet, and I follow him, and if you want the truth, you better follow him. قالوا والله هو أنت شرنا وابن شرنا وسيئنا وابن سيئنا وجاهلنا وابن جاهلنا. He said, Wallahi, you are the worst of us, and you are the son of the worst of us. You are the jahil, the ignorant of us, the most ignorant, and the son of the most ignorant. They just changed it over, and they didn't follow. Abdullah ibn Salam, he was a so good person as a Jew, and he was a so good person as a Muslim as well. He was known to be such a good, righteous, salih, rajulun salih. And he is even, we have more than one hadith that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam is giving him the glad tidings of al-Jannah. By the way, we know, most of us or all of us know that there is al-ashra mubashsharun bil-Jannah, 10 people who have been given the promised Jannah, but actually it's more than 10 people. This is only the most famous amongst them. Abdullah ibn Salam is not in the list of the most famous, but we have a couple of hadith. Mu'adh ibn Jabal, for example, he was a witness. He said, I'm a witness that the Prophet ﷺ said, Abdullah ibn Salam fil Jannah, or Ashru Ashratin fil Jannah, he is the 10th of 10 people in Jannah. And another story that one day, long time after the death of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in Masjid al-Madinah, two people were having this talk, and then one of them said, well, this man right there is from the people of Al-Jannah. He will be in Al-Jannah. And then a third person is listening to them, but he doesn't know who is this person, he doesn't know what they are talking about. He followed Abdullah ibn Salam all the way to his house, and then he asked him, let me ask you a question. Are you of the people of Al-Jannah? I heard people saying this. It's not for anybody to have a judgment like this. But I'm going to tell you the story. Maybe they referring to this story. It is a dream that I saw in the time of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I saw in a dream that I was in a kind of garden, very nice garden, and in the middle of this garden there was a kind of pole, a middle pole that was going from this garden up all the way to the sky, and at the end of it there was a kind of circle. And somebody asked me, I was called to go up to climb this pole, and I climbed all the way until I got to this circle. And I was holding so firm to the circle, and he even woke up while he is holding to it. He doesn't know what does this mean. He mentioned this dream to the Prophet ﷺ, and it was the habit of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam to ask the Sahaba after Salat al-Fajr every day, did anybody see a ru'ya or a vision or a dream, so I can give him the interpretation. So one day Abdullah ibn Salaam told him this dream, and the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam interpreted it as, he said, "What do you know what is the garden?" He said, "The garden is Islam. This is Islam. And you know what is the pole? That's, going all the way up." At the beginning of the dream, actually, there was a way right and a way left, and he was trying to go to the left side, but somebody told him to go to the right. Then Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained this to him, that the way going to the left is Ahl al-Shimal, Tariq Ahl al-Shimal, the way of the people of the left. And you got the right way, you made it to the Tariq Ahl al-Yamin, and the garden is Islam. And this pole that will be taking you all the way up is طريق الجنة أو كذا. And then العروة الوثقى, this circle is العروة الوثقى, that if you hold firm to it, you are in the right way, and you will die in Islam. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told him that you will be going the right direction until you will die on Islam. How beautiful is such a glad tidings to be given by the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to someone like this. Abdullah ibn Salaam عاش حتى ذكره الله عز وجل كما قال بعض المفسرين في القرآن وشهد شاهد من بني إسرائيل على مثله. Allah was trying to prove the Quran. He said even there is a witness from Bani Israel, from the lineage of the children of Israel. He was, by the way, from the lineage of Sayyidina Yusuf alayhi salam. His great-great-grandfather was Yusuf ibn Yaqub alayhi salam, Prophet Joseph. And another ayah, بعض المفسرين يقول قل كفى بالله شهيدا بيني وبينكم ومن عنده علم الكتاب. Towards the end of Surah Al-Ra'd, the Prophet said, say to them, sufficient as a witness between me and you, or as an evidence, or as a judge between me and you, is Allah, and the one who got the knowledge of the book. Referring to Abdullah ibn Salam, he got the knowledge of the previous book of Bani Israel, and he accepted the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is one of the followers, the giants of Islam. Let's go and read more about his life and how did he, manage to يؤتى أجره مرتين. He believed, the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, amongst those who will get the reward double is someone who believed in his prophet, like a Christian or Jew or something, and then he believed in me as well. This is one of them, one of the very few Yahud, by the way, who accepted Islam. There was a lot of pagans who accepted Islam, even jinn. Some jinn accepted Islam, and very few Jews in the time of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that accepted Islam. He was one of them. رحمة الله عليه ورضي الله عنه وجزاكم الله خيرا وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد.